there's so many iconic, superheroes and, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, that people have been seeing their whole entire lives. Like, why wouldn't they be interested in this?
What's up? I'm Tim Sinclair. I'm the public address voice of the Chicago Bulls, Chicago Bears, Chicago Fire, NBA All-Star Weekend 3 times, and NBA 2K. I was in the hobby a long time ago as a kid, fell out for years and years, and now that my 2 boys are back in the hobby, so am I. This is Cardy in the USA. So today we're going to try something a little different. I'm going to take you inside one of my favorite card shops to talk one-on-one with the owner about what he does and why he does it. The shop is Grade Plus Trade in Naperville, Illinois, and the name says it all. Everything they have is or can be graded, and they do quite a bit of trading and consigning in addition to selling the products that they have. And I said it was a card shop, which it is, but they have so much more than just sports cards. Starting lineup figures, comics, video games, Funko Pops. The list is endless, and you'll see much of it when we head inside. You're not going to want to miss this conversation with Paul. If you're into not just the hobby, but trying to figure out ways to preserve the amount of time and energy and money you've poured into your collectibles, you're going to want to stick around for this conversation. From the card side, I think we all know how cards are graded and why they're graded, but you mentioned comic books, you've mentioned we've got video games, there's magazines, there's memorabilia, and you've kind of taken the stand that why shouldn't all of that be under one roof?
Right. I've seen in a couple of other stores in my travels. There's a good store in Columbus, Ohio called Big Fun. They used to have another location in Cleveland Heights where I would travel for work, and I'd always stop at it. That one closed down. The one in Columbus is still there, and they have this store full of toys that are just from the 80s and the 90s, and they also have trading cards and comics. They have many different categories of things, and there's very little wholesale product that you just buy cases of. There's no like brand new boxes of cards coming in the door.
Now you don't have wax in here, which is one of the hallmarks of a lot of card shops.
Yeah, you would think that would be kind of like the silver bullet for this business. It's not because I can't get it or I'm not allowed to. I actually have a distributor. I could buy it whenever I wanted to. But before I opened the store, I told Dean's Dugout, the owner's Dean of Maryland, that I am not going to do that. I'm going to try to do everything that they don't do, and then I'll send people their way for that kind of thing. Because I know there's people out there that want services that I'm providing, but they can't find a place to do it.
Well, in those places, you've got customers who are digging for value, who are in on the hunt of maybe I'm going to get a $2,000 or $5,000 card in this box. Whereas here it feels like you've already found the value, preserved the value, guaranteed the value, and are now selling that to people who go, I don't want to play the roulette wheel of ripping packs. I just want to get the cards that I want, make sure they're valuable, and be able to sort of have a guaranteed investment.
Exactly. Just like any other, conventional investment, there's many different types of investors.
Yeah.
There's some that just want the blue chips. There's some that want the high speculation stocks like the pink sheets. Those would be like kind of like the rookies now, or opening wax that try to hit that big card. There's many different types of collectors, but there's, for the most part, one type of card shop model, which is we get a new product every week, which is what I used to go every week to Dean's Dugout, and something new comes out, I'm going in there to open it up. It's a lot of fun. It's tons of fun.
Sure.
But there's a work element involved if you want to be a buyer and a seller. And most people that are involved in this stuff, they at least look at themselves that way, or they'd like to be more of a seller as well. What they need is someone to get them over that hump. Like, if you have a full-time job and you want to do a grading order, and you say you got 50 to 100 cards, that's going to take a while.
Yeah.
And if it's your first time doing it, you're going to feel so anxious about it because you're going to feel like you're going to send the wrong thing in. or you're going to get a lower grade than you expected. You're going to wonder where your stuff's at, and there's no one in the middle to kind of like help you out, kind of like a real estate agent, like.
And so here you're not only selling graded cards, but you're helping people grade their ungraded ones.
Oh, absolutely. So something very popular here, originally I was going to charge for this, but I see now that it's very important for me to, just provide this as a service. Because people come in with their stuff, say they bring in, 50 cards, and they're like, I want to send these in, or can you tell me what I should send in? I'll tell them, like, do not send this in. Do not send that in. If you send that in and you get a 9, you're not even paying for your grading. Like 80s, 90s Jordan, or 90s Jordans especially, like the base cards that they got a huge influx of after the Last Dance documentary. Now, like, if they're not a 10, it's not worth it. So I look at everything very carefully. If they bring in modern stuff, even if I see something, I'll tell them. And they like that because I only charge $1 a card to grade. So if I tell them not to grade something, to me, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Because in the long run, what I want to do is help you sell your stuff. And if you're trying to sell something that's, not appealing to a buyer, then it's just going to be sitting here, or it's going to be in your inventory for a long time, and you're going to be like feeling a little bit, like you wasted your money.
Well, and if you're going to somebody who's charging a lot more per card, they have more vested interest to tell you should grade it because they've got more money on the line.
Right.
Whereas you keeping that low, going to be honest with them. And then there's an option for when that card comes back. Let's say they do find a card in a pack, cost them a few bucks, they get it graded, it's now worth a couple $100. You can then help them consign it and sell it, and everybody wins.
Absolutely. There was a man and his son that came in very close to when I first opened. They were referred to me by Dean's Dugout, and I'm very thankful for that. The grandson inherited a binder of these Mickey Mantle cards, but they were reprints. They were like a set that they had in the early 2000s. Yeah. Topps made reprints for like Mickey Mantle's rookie card and other years as well. And some of these reprints were the 52 Topps Mickey Mantle rookie card, but they had different shades of colors in the back. And one of them was blue, which is the color of the original one.
Yeah.
And I saw that like one of those had recently sold for like $1,500 as a PSA 10, and I'm like, I recommend you send some of these in because it could be really, really good money. And at the time, I had offered a policy where like you wouldn't have to pay for grading until the very end. So they're like, yeah, what's the problem there? I mean, like, there's no risk.
Sure.
Like, just send it in and then we'll sell it. And they ended up getting a 10 on a blue version, which I sold for them for $1,000 within like 48 hours of getting it back. And then I sold a black one of this Mickey Mantle rookie card for $400 and an orange one for $350.
It's a good way to make customers happy.
Yeah, well, they actually don't even know about it yet.
Oh, wow.
Because
surprise.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't told them yet that these sold. I still have more of them to sell.
Got it.
And the money, they had to verify it through eBay, so I couldn't send them any money yet, so I haven't contacted them yet. But like, I'm getting so much stuff to consign now that unfortunately I can't, I can't contact people every time I get a sale.
Sure, yeah.
Because now I've got already hundreds of items I'm selling for people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they will be very happy. They probably had no idea that was going to happen, and they still got more to sell. So that's the kind of thing I like. It's like I make a little bit of money, you come back to me because you trust me, and I'm not going to steal from you. I'm not going to rip you off. That I'm trying to look out for you, and like I almost have like a fiduciary duty toward the customer, even though it's not in a contract. I'm doing for you what I would do for myself, and I want people to leave with that feeling like, yeah, this was the right place to go.
Yeah.
Like there's not any other place like this.
There are so many cool things in here. I think I could probably spend hours just looking at individual items and talking about them. But do you have a few favorites that we can at least talk about and sort of see that might be a little unconventional?
Yeah, I mean, for example, I have this Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time. It's sealed. This is the first game that I ever bought with my personal money. I think I had a gift certificate at the time, not a card. Like an actual like,
piece
check,
of paper.
Yeah, for Toys R Us. And I bought this at Toys R Us, which is now out of business. But this is a really well-known Super Nintendo game. There's not that many copies of it that are sealed still. Obviously mine, or my original one, was opened up and
Sure.
played a lot.
How much does it like we know the card grading system
Yeah.
can be $15 to $25 depending on the company and what. With a game, what does that look like?
Grading is a bit higher for games. It's a bigger collectible. It's not as much of a universal size.
Yep.
You know, they come in different box sizes.
Yeah, and this packaging is just more expensive in and of itself to even put a game in it, I would assume, for the company. So
Yeah, this is the original WADA case, and you know, there's the WADA brand right there. I'm a dealer for WADA. I'm an authorized dealer for WADA, and they are underneath the same umbrella as PSA.
Got it.
Collectors Holdings, and Golden is also underneath that umbrella.
And what does, out of curiosity,
pricing?
grade a game, what does a game like this go for now that it's been graded, it's sealed, unopened?
This should sell anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 at today's
Wow.
in today's market. But I'm willing to hold on to it because it's definitely one that means a lot to me.
Sure.
As long as I can. It's one of those ones that I think I should just put away for a while. But
$3,000 to $4,000 is a
someone
lot of
walks in
money.
with that, yeah,
Right.
I'll probably sell it. Yeah.
Nice. You've got a lot of these Nintendo Power magazines and the Sports Illustrated
Yeah.
and some things. So you can get those graded as well. And this one looks like it's brand new.
Yeah, this is a Nintendo Power number 208. You know, you would see this maybe at a thrift store or, you know, an antique store. Sometimes they have magazines. But what you don't know by looking at it on the cover, well, you actually can see here, it says Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Comic. There's a comic inside of it. There's another one I have up on the shelf that has a Pokemon card in it from 1999 or 2000 when it first got introduced to the USA. And these magazines are awesome. They're super fun to look at. Unfortunately, I can't look at them when they're in
Sure,
here.
when they're in case.
But CGC has a very nice, very solid magazine slab. This is becoming more and more popular. People are sending in strategy guides.
Yeah.
They're sending in, you know, Michael Jordan cover magazines like the Beckett #1. They're sending in the Sports Illustrateds, like the special editions that came out from
Yeah.
the championships. You know, this is an issue of Sports Illustrated I got in at the last Spectacular in Chicago or last year. It's number 2 overall, 1954. And I just think this is so cool. I mean, it's a 6.5, which even from the 50s is still a pretty decent grade.
Yeah.
Inside of this specific issue, you wouldn't believe it, but there's actually New York Yankees trading cards.
Wow.
So they
Would Mantle be one of them?
Mantle, they made a picture for, but he didn't have a card.
Okay.
It was the 53 set. For some reason, his card wasn't put in here.
Interesting.
But there's a picture of him. There's like a placeholder. But they were doing these types of promos in the 50s, and I had no idea they did that.
I didn't either.
But CGC, when they do a slab, they'll note what the special features of the magazine are. So that's a good thing about the slab.
Absolutely. And you've got obviously baseballs and hats and tickets and the starting lineup figures. Like it's not just cards. If you have magazines or games you can grade that are in great condition, you can grade them and dramatically increase their value.
Oh yeah.
For pennies on the dollar. That whole idea leads me to the question of what brings a business guy with a master's degree who spent years in the business world, traveling the world, helping companies make money. What brings him to go, you know what I'm going to do now is take my business sense and try to make a go of it in the card and collectible world?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I have been asked this a lot since I started here. It's a complicated answer, but I'll try to make it simple. When you do what you love to do, it doesn't feel like work. And you know, I got to the point where it didn't matter what I was doing or what I made or, you know, where I was going or anything like that. I just didn't feel the satisfaction I wanted from what I was doing. And last year I had to travel to Germany, and it was the week that the war started in Ukraine. It was against the United States State Department's recommendations so you can travel there, but I still had to go, and I just felt like I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have to be put in when you see it in the movies and the shows, you know, people flying around and doing business, it looks so cool, and but when you're away from your family and your friends and your surroundings, and even to a degree your dog,
Sure.
like you don't feel right. You know, like you have to be in a certain either stage of your life or a certain type of person to be okay with that. And I always want to be like close to my family. I don't want to be in another country, even if I'm in another state and something happens. You know, like I want to be there in case I'm needed. You know.
Well, and you bring some really interesting, because of that background, I think it's stereotyping, but I think a lot of card shops are started by people who have just been inherent sports fans. They've always collected cards. Let's just start a shop. This is what we love to do, and that's great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And you have some of that background, but you also bring a really strong business sense, which I think is probably why the grade plus trade idea is such a powerful one, because it's not just the ripping packs looking for a big hit, it's maximizing and preserving value, which you have done for companies for years and years.
Right. Yeah. When I thought of the model, originally it was going to be just a card store, and I was just going to have, you know, really good inventory, a lot of great stuff, but like I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. I wanted to make sure that I respected the people that pioneered the industry, especially in this area, especially in Naperville specifically, where I live and where the shop is located, because there are people here that have been a big part of the community and continue to be. They've given up, they've maybe even sacrificed parts of their life to be part of this community. I'm not going to take that away from them, and I give them a lot of credit for doing that. And when I thought of the model, I'm like, you know what, this is the way I can fit in without hurting anyone else's business. And it's different, it is risky, but in my gut, I see what's going on, and there's not like a lot of different types of stores, you know. And I felt like if I just did something different and put it out there, kind of like a build it and they will come type of thing. Like I have inspirations, you know, even in Illinois to do this type of store. Like there's Geek Toy Hut in Arlington Heights, which I actually popped into after an interview I did, and FaceTime my wife, even though she could not care less about Ninja Turtles. And I'm like, this place is awesome. And the guy that runs that store used to be in business too. He was a CFO. And he's had great success because he brought the things that he's learned to that business along with his passion, and it's gone very well for him. So the inspirations are there. It's not something, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. You know, everyone's new idea is a combination of other ideas kind of, and with a little spin. And I'm not taking it, but I felt like if I had basically a slice of all the best stuff that all these stores have and put it in one place, I don't need the wholesale inventory.
Yeah.
And if I offer the services, that's another way I'm unique.
I don't know how much of a background you had in merchandising or marketing. From what I know, that wasn't at least the crux of what you did in business, but that is something you notice immediately when you walk in here, is that things are displayed in a very visually appealing way and a very easy way to see everything. A lot of card shops, you're looking down through glass and trying to kneel down to see the bottom shelf, and here everything is upright and on the walls. Was that something you knew you wanted to do? Was that just a byproduct of the space you had? How did it come to look this good?
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me that people see the effort I put in. I think that you could say it starts from the inside out. I always knew I wanted tables in the middle.
Yeah.
Originally I wanted two. They're right here in this area. I wanted people to be able to sit and hang out, not feel like they're in a rush, not feel like they got to buy something and leave or anything like that. People come to card stores very often and chat with the owners and chat with the employees. It's almost like a barber shop, you know.
That's what I did the first time.
Yeah.
And multiple times since.
And I love it because, like, you know, part of my job in my career was like just talking to people I didn't know and getting to know what their common ground is and like trying to get to like what they're really looking for, you know. But people come in and we'll just talk about whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, where can you really do that now? Where like you're not expected to be a customer, you're not expected to like spend money, and like there's no quid pro quo here. It's just like, you know, I feel like if we develop that relationship, eventually it'll come back to you as a business person. Yeah. Like, you have to be patient. It's one thing early in my career is like I didn't realize how patient you had to be to make a sale. Like, you feel like if you don't get it on the first try, that like you're a failure, and they don't like you or whatever, and you take it really personal. but it's much more complicated than that. People aren't just trying to come and buy an item. You know, they want more than that. They can buy that online if they wanted to. But if I can give them something extra, then, you know, driving over to a store is very appealing, especially one in your community.
Well, and it feels comfortable, it looks beautiful, and you've done an incredible job. You've got games for kids, so if there are kids who are here with parents and the kids aren't as interested but the parents are, they have something to do to keep themselves occupied while mom and dad look. I feel like you've maybe not thought of everything, but most everything, and you've got a really different place, and I mean different in all the good ways.
Yeah, thank you. And I think what I've seen is that there's people that they're in a rush, and maybe they got like a little kid with them, or they, you know, there's a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or, you know, that doesn't really care about this stuff, and they just, you know, they're like, come on, and let's go. I took my son into a store not that long ago, and he does not care about toys. He's 4 years old. He wants to go to Home Depot.
Nice.
Okay. Now I would have been the opposite, like most kids, but I wanted to go to the store so bad. It was like 45 minutes away. I'm like, I really want to like look around, and he's just like, let's get out of here, you know. And I figured like maybe I do something that like offsets that, you know, urgency to leave, or it makes them a little more comfortable for them to hang out. So I put like a marble track on the wall for the kids to play with if, like, you know, they want to, and an arcade, and there's some nice comfy chairs in the front. I've got two bar height tables here, and there's guys that come here and hang out for hours, you know, just to talk about sports or cards or whatever, and everyone's really friendly. You know, when people are here, they're kind of like they're relaxed. They're surrounded by nostalgia. They're surrounded by like other people that like that kind of stuff. They feel comfortable, and they'll meet someone for the first time and they'll talk for hours, you know, and I love it, you know, that part of it I really love. That's why I wanted to have a brick and mortar, and not just sell online.
Right.
So,
well, if you want to grade, if you want to trade, if you just want to sit down and be comfortable and chat and shoot the breeze with Paul and the crew who comes through here, you need to come to Grade Plus Trade. They're in Naperville, and follow them on Instagram. I'll put the link here so you can find it. It really is not only a beautiful store, but a great way to see how to preserve your wealth in the collectible industry, or just get started. And you've done an incredible job.
thank you very much.
Thanks
I
for
appreciate
having me
it.
in. Absolutely. Thank you.